Good evening. I see you're desperately clinging to the idea of progress, as if humanity were on some kind of logical upward path. It's a comforting bedtime story to help you sleep. The reality is, madness never disappears. It just changes its outfit. So this week, we'll be looking at a dental demon, the bureaucratic nightmare of a Siberian parcel, the nasty little secret in your vitamins, the persistence of 21st century witchcraft, the questionable hygiene of our Roman ancestors, the ultimate recycling of Egyptian history, and finally, the truth about that alien pal from your childhood. This is the Whoa the Fact Weekly Wrap. Whoa the Fact. Let's start with a pain you all know, but with an explanation your modern logic refuses to accept. So you're whining about a little cavity? Let me tell you how the real ones handled it. Back in ancient Egypt, a toothache wasn't about sugar. It was a demon, an evil spirit that decided to squat in your molar and set up its pain HQ. Forget the dentist and your appointment in 3 weeks. They'd call a priest exorcist to negotiate with the entity drilling into your nerve. That's kind of like if today you blamed an Instagram update bug for burning your dinner. The logic is the same. Non-existent. While you're popping a painkiller and waiting for it to go away, they were cooking up incantations and amulets to evict the demonic tenant from your mouth. The result? Probably the same. A god-awful toothache, but with way more panache. Honestly, what lame-ass excuse are you gonna come up with now to skip the dentist? So humanity has always preferred a terrifying supernatural explanation over a simple medical truth. But sometimes it's the other way around. You brace for the worst, you picture the monster, and the reality is infinitely more chilling in its banality. Imagine the most macabre discovery possible. Forget the demon. Think serial killer. Think you're some kind of FBI profiler every time a sordid news story breaks? Let me stop you right there. In 2018, in Siberia, some folks find a bag, not with groceries, but with 54 severed human hands. Mass panic. Everyone's already picturing the worst serial killer in history, the gnarliest human jigsaw puzzle ever seen. The investigators are on the case. The world holds its breath. Theories are being sharpened. Netflix docuseries are being prepped. They're already fantasy casting the movie. The media machine was ready to go into overdrive for the butcher of Siberia. And then the verdict drops. No killer, no cartel, no cult. Just a clerical error. Improper disposal of waste from a forensic lab. The big bad guy was just some bureaucrat who checked the wrong box on a form. It's the modern day equivalent of ordering a pizza and accidentally getting the nuclear launch codes. The peak of bureaucratic horror. Paperwork, more terrifying than any psychopath. Seriously, what's the worst administrative screw up you've ever seen? So, absolute evil was just a clerical error. The mundane is often the greatest horror of all. And this everyday horror is something you swallow every morning without a clue, thinking you're doing yourself some good. Let's move from the horror you find to the horror you willingly ingest. Ah, there you are, apostle of wellness and quinoa, religiously swallowing your little capsules of snake oil. You think you're cleansing your system, but do you even know what's packaging your precious vitamins? It's gelatin. And what's gelatin? It's the greatest hits of slaughterhouse scraps. Pork and beef leftovers, bones, skin, ligaments, everything even scavengers would turn their noses up at, boiled down and turned into a pretty transparent capsule so you can swallow it without puking. It's like finding out your pure alpine mineral water is actually filtered through a Tour de France cyclist's socks. So there you have it. Every morning, you're downing livestock leftovers for better hair, hoping to become a better version of yourself thanks to someone else's trash. The irony is as delicious as pig cartilage. Honestly, what's the worst wellness scam you've ever fallen for? So now you know. Every capsule is a tiny coffin of industrial waste. Savor your quest for wellness. But if swallowing animal leftovers grosses you out, wait until you see what some people still do with human bodies. Not out of necessity, but out of pure conviction. We leave the slaughterhouses for the sacrificial altars, right in the heart of a modern capital. Think witchcraft is just fairy tales for kids? That's cute. Welcome to 2001 in London. Not the Middle Ages. A little boy's torso is found floating in the Thames, mutilated, dismembered. The Scotland Yard investigation, the most famous police force in the world, reaches a chilling conclusion. This wasn't a run-of-the-mill crime. It was a ritual murder linked to witchcraft practices. People in the 21st century sacrificed a child thinking it would bring them power or luck. It's as if in the middle of a conference on artificial intelligence, an engineer started slitting a chicken's throat to appease the Wi-Fi gods and boost his bandwidth. We have supercomputers in our pockets that can explore the universe, yet the software running in some human brains is still stuck on a Stone Age beta version full of macabre bugs. Honestly, what shocks you the most about the human brain? The 21st century, with its progress, its enlightenment, and its child sacrifices. The Stone Age is never far behind. This remnant of barbarism reminds us that our ancestors, the ones we love to romanticize, had customs that were just as primitively filthy. Let's travel back in time to an age of marble and togas for a lesson in communal hygiene. You complain when there's no more triple ply toilet paper? You poor, fragile little thing. Let me introduce you to the height of luxury in ancient Rome. The public latrines. Rows of holes in marble where you could discuss business and politics with your neighbor. Pants around your ankles. And for the finishing touch, the cleanup, they had the xylospongium, a sea sponge on a stick. A revolutionary tool with just one small detail. There was only one for everyone. You read that right. You'd wipe your ass with the same sponge as your neighbor, the senator next to you, and the barbarian tourist just passing through. The whole thing was just quickly rinsed in a bucket of salt water or vinegar before being passed to the next guy. It's the holy grail of infections, the ancestor of sharing a toothbrush in a 30-person house share. Civilization, they called it. Tell me, what everyday object would you refuse to share that badly? Sharing and togetherness, taken to their logical extreme. You'll never look at a sponge the same way again. Still, if the Romans lacked hygiene, another civilization had an almost obsessive respect for its dead. A respect the industrial age was all too happy to monetize. Time to talk about recycling. The ultimate recycling. You think mummies are sacred treasures sleeping in museums? You're breathtakingly naive. In the 19th century, at the height of the Industrial Revolution, they needed two things: fertilizer for the fields and fuel for the machines. And the Europeans had a brilliant idea. Why bother searching when Egypt was overflowing with millions of mummies? So they imported them by the boatload like common cargo. Human or animal, didn't matter, to grind them up and turn them into fertilizer. Pharaohs and their subjects ending up as powder to fertilize the fields and grow your Brussels sprouts. Worse, when they ran out of coal, they even threw mummies into the boilers of locomotives to keep them running. That's like if tomorrow we decided to grind up the Mona Lisa to make pigment for the paint in an underground parking garage. Millennia of rituals and preservation, only to end up as smoke or to boost the growth of turnips. Humans, recycling geniuses. So for you, what's the most absurd thing we could recycle? Millennia of civilization, ground down into fuel. Progress has always had a knack for turning history into just another raw material. And this historical cannibalism doesn't stop with bodies. It applies to your most innocent memories, too. Let's finish by desecrating one of the pillars of your childhood. Remember that sweet little wrinkly alien who just wanted to phone home? Wipe that from your memory. Your childhood is a shameless lie. The original script for E.T. was called Night Skies, and it was a straight up horror movie. The basic idea wasn't a cute lost alien, but a gang of sadistic, malevolent extraterrestrials who showed up to terrorize an isolated family on their farm. They didn't want candy. They communicated by killing cattle just for the fun of it. And their famous glowing finger, it wasn't for healing, but probably for probing you in a, let's say, medically non-consensual way. It's like finding out the original script for Bambi was actually a documentary about taxidermy, or that Winnie the Pooh was the sanitized version of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We came within a hair's breadth of traumatizing entire generations of kids with the creepiest alien in movie history. What adorable movie character would be the most terrifying as a real villain? Your childhood, your beliefs, your history, it's all just a marketing facade. Next time you watch a kid's movie, ask yourself what horror story it replaced. Thanks for watching this wrap-up. Your duty, if you care to prove your attention span isn't completely shot, is to subscribe and leave a relevant comment. Don't disappoint me. Go on, go back to your tidy little lives now. Try to forget all this.